Hello Goobers, it's me, your favorite Goober, and I am here to make the video shorter, so I can truthfully say I've got a quick update for you today. I've been trying to make some more characters for my story. I've been trying to workshop some more ideas, figure out some fun, unique fighting styles within the confines of my elemental-based story, and even if I don't know when I'm going to use them or if they're, good, bad, morally gray, uh, I just want to have like a list of characters and kind of figure out some of the finer details later. And the character that I mainly focused on today involved learning some funky stuff. All right. My last couple of attempts took me on a fun little journey of knowledge acquisition. And I'll get to it real quick. I'm going to try to make sure I condense this down to not be too talkative. Um, I don't care about spoilers. I mean, this character could exist, it could never exist, so why not talk about it, right? This guy is an earth elemental user, right? He has an affinity for the earth element, but his niche is that he can specifically control bones. He's got the ability to manipulate bones, form it into whatever shape he wants. The usual. Um, if you're unfamiliar, your bones are calcium. Calcium is a metal, and I thought it'd be fun to make a character about that. And I kind of was like, what if I could have this character be like a necromancer without having to have like necromancy magic, right? Because the story only has elemental based powers. There's no like traditional magic, right? And I was like, well, how can I, you know, take this idea of a necromancer and bring it to life? I was like, okay, well, the bones of a body can be manipulated, and there's like two situations, right? So I thought up this idea where this character was raising the dead from the ground, and depending on the state of the skeletonization, which, as stupid as that sounds, is an actual word. Usually it's like 5 years on average. You just bury it in like a quote normal environment. If it's hotter, you'll decompose faster. If it's colder, you won't decompose. If not indefinitely, you'll be decomposing very, very, very slowly if it's super cold. And that information is important to know because, like, let's say the character's in like a snowy mountain and he wants to raise the dead. Odds are the body won't be as decomposed, and so there's probably going to be some obvious signs of decay, necrosis, but maybe because he raised it in this like super cold environment, they're more put together, we'll say, right? Versus maybe a more hot and humid environment where he probably just raises skeletons from the ground, right? So it could be interesting. And then somewhere in the middle, you can have like your traditional like zombie. Ooh. And that was one idea. And obviously, regardless of how this character uses their powers to raise an quote undead army, they can still manipulate bone and like shape it into however they want, right? They can turn it into like armor. They can, you know, make some like claws on their hands or something. I don't really know. It could just be whatever. They can manipulate the matter and shape it, but they can also control like these bodies because let's say the skeleton still has some flesh attached, and I don't know, he can overwhelm you with a large army. So, the other idea I had was like maybe I can make him like a general. And he's got this army. He's very proud of his soldiers, and he leads an unkillable army, right? If his soldiers were to fall and die in the middle of combat, he could then raise them back from the dead, kinda. Not really. Like their spirit has passed on, they're dead, but the body still remains, and so he can use their body, um, forcing the opposition to like basically have to eviscerate, completely atomize the, I guess only the skeleton, because it's not like he's controlling the flesh or anything like that, but they wouldn't necessarily know that. They're like, oh, why is this soldier getting up again? I just cut his head off. Well, it's their general, right? And so that could be interesting. Uh, on the last attempt of making this video, I mentioned that I didn't have like any morally gray characters, and this character, I almost don't want him to be a bad guy. Like, I think it'd be more fun if he wasn't a bad guy, because I want to use his powers. I think they're gnarly. I think they're cool, and so I was like, maybe a morally gray character. Introduce one or two of those. Because maybe they're not the first person you're going to pick to have on your team, but they could still be someone that you can go to should you need them, right? And then, if I wanted to, it can be like a bone doctor, I guess. If you broke a bone, he can help heal you. Or he can reinforce your bone structure, make you stronger, less likely to break something, which could give him a more supportive role without giving him a main combat role. That was just an idea that I just came up with, so that, I don't know, just fun things to think about. All right, that's how I see it. It's just really fun to think about these ideas, and then when I talk out loud about them, sometimes I come up with more stuff, which means it's fun to make these videos talking about it. But the problem is, let's check how long I've been going. Yeah, 8 minutes and 29 seconds in. So I'm actually going to wrap that up here. With that being said, good night and good luck. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye bye.